I remember going through and crying out for help, and God said, wipe the tear, dry your eye, and get up and do what I told you to do. Wipe the tear. Ain't no use in crying. Put into action what I told you I'll do, and I'll bring you up out of this thing. That's a word for somebody. When you start doing what God told you to do, he gonna bring you up out of that thing. When you start praising the way he told you to pray, when you start praying the way he told you to pray, God is gonna move. See, too many Christians are lazy and laid back in the cut, waiting on God to do something. No, you first have to do whatever it is that God told you to do. God will never give you a promise without giving you instructions. If you ask God to do something, he's going to give you some instructions. So he'll make sure that you have your part. There's something you and I must do. I can't blame it on God. I can't say the reason it ain't turned around is because of God. I can't. If I do it, I'm lying, and the truth is not in my mouth. But how many times have we tried to blame God? How many times have we tried to blame people? When you get the right connection with God, listen, baby, folk can't stop you. Your haters can't stop you. Not if you connected with God the way you need. Folks will hate on you and see you go higher. Folks will talk about you and you'll get better. Folks will be low down. But every time they see you, you're getting better. The more you talk, the better I'm getting. The more you doubt the God that's in me, the more he shows up and proves himself to be the God that cannot fail. How many know I'm right about that? You got to recognize your part in being obedient. It's not the pastor. You got to do your part. This is not a year to be asking folk to pray for you and you ain't praying for yourself. This ain't the year to ask folk to pray for you, but you don't want to encourage yourself. You're going to go through some trial this year, like it or not, that folks ain't going to pat you on your back. You got to be like David this year. You got to encourage yourself in the Lord. You got to lay hands on yourself. You got to put all on your own head and decree what thus saith God in the midst of hell and high water, in the midst of no water. Tell somebody, stop waiting for folk to pray for you. Tell your neighbor, you got to pray for yourself sometime. You got to pray yourself up out of it sometime. You got to pray until depression leaves. You got to pray until stress leaves. You got to pray until you feel better. You got to pray until you know you are the person that God called you to be. Sitting back waiting on nobody to pray for me. I got to get in my prayer closet. I got to get in my secret closet. And when I get in my secret closet, the God that seeth in secret shall reward me out in the open. Sit down. You got to do your part. If the marriage is going to be better, you got to do your part. If it's going to work out for you in school this year, you got to do your part. If you're going to get the degree, you got to do your part. If you're going to get delivered and stay delivered, got to do your. If you're done with drugs this year, hang with drug addicts. If you're done with whoring, don't hang with fornicators. Be bold enough to let them know, I'm done with that. Now, you can't be a lady hanging with whores. You can't be a man of God trying to be a player. Brother, you got to realize this year your playing days are over. You serious about God this year? You recognize I got to do my part. Now, Jehoshaphat has to be careful because he does not want to make the mistake that his father made. Notice back in the 16th chapter. Let me show you a mistake that Asa made. That Jehoshaphat has to be careful that he does not fall into the same trap. Can I be honest for a minute? Can I be honest and real? Can I be honest and real? You ain't going to get upset. See, he know what his father did that wasn't right. Now he has to be careful that he don't make the same bed that his father made. See, too many of us don't like what our kinfolk did. You talk about them, but if the truth be told, you just like them. You hate them, but you have become them. Yeah, I said something then. A lot of you dislike a whole lot of folk. You can't stand them. The reason you don't like them is because y'all so much. Well, my daddy was such and such. My daddy didn't do that. My daddy didn't do that. And I didn't. Yeah, but look at you. If somebody tell you the truth, you just like your daddy. Ooh, see, that hurt right there. That hurt right there. Be careful who you talk about. You might become them. Or you may already be them. But your lying friends won't tell you the truth. I don't hang with nobody that won't tell me the truth about myself. But before you tell me the truth, guess what? I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm going to be honest with myself. It may hurt, but you got to be honest. And I don't know about you, but I talk to myself. Oh, yes, I do. I talk to myself. When I mess up, I say, boy, what are you doing? What were you thinking? Why did you do that? And sometimes folks will hear me. They'll say, who you talking to? I say, I'm talking to myself. Trying to get myself right. He can't make that mistake. Some of you, God has better for you. But you're too worried about what runs in your family. Don't worry about what's been running in your family. Worry about the fact that you may be the very first to change all of that. All of that. Some of you clapping on credit because you crazy just like your. As you're being seated, look at somebody and tell them, stop all this craziness. Many of us this year, we got to mature this year. Mature. Listen, part of being mature, listen carefully, is learning from the mistakes of others. If I'm really have wisdom, I don't have to go down every hard road if somebody went down the road before me. Why can't I step back and learn from your heartache? Why can't I learn from how it almost took you out? But you got to mature to be that way. You got to mature to listen to somebody and say, you know what? They giving me wisdom. I'm going to apply what they're saying, and I'm going to get good results. Well, I'm my own man. I'm my own woman. No, you're not. Somebody influencing you. Notice now, he can't make the same mistake. Notice the mistake of Asa in 2 Chronicles 16. Y'all hang in here now. And in the 39th year of his reign, Asa became diseased in his feet, and his malady was severe. He was in trouble big time. Yet in his disease, he did not seek the Lord, but the physicians. Asa got sick real bad. And the Bible said he did not seek the Lord. 2 Chronicles 16:12. He did not seek the Lord, but he sought the physicians. Pastor, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you is that you seek everybody else's help, but you don't seek God's help. Pastor, why is things not better for me? It's not better because you rely on mama more than you rely on God. You rely on your spouse more than you rely on God. You rely on your job more than you rely on God. You think your good job is what getting you by, but your good job will lay you off and won't think nothing else about you or your family. He chose to seek physicians rather than asking God for help. This man turned his back on God and looked for the doctors to do it. Listen carefully. Ain't nothing wrong with doctors. Some doctors are good. But you never put a man before God. Because man is limited. Just like me, your pastor can be wonderful in your life, but now I'm still a man. I still got limitations. Certain things I can't do. I'm not all powerful. Neither am I all knowing. See, when you put all your confidence in man, you will sometimes get worse rather than better. I know I'm teaching right this morning. I said, I know I'm teaching it right. Bottom line, you can never put all of your confidence in man, because man is limited and man will let you down, whether he mean to or whether she does not. They are limited. And Asa messed up when he chose not to ask God for help. And see, like it or not, there are some of us in here, you believe every word that a doctor tells you, just because he or she is a doctor. But do you realize how many times a doctor has missed it? Do you realize how many times they've read the wrong x-ray? I'm going to make it real today. Do you know how many cases there are where they took off the wrong limb or they took out the wrong organ? Why? They're human. You only submit yourself to a doctor when God tells you to do so. Am I telling you don't go to the doctor? No. But don't believe everything they tell you. But how many times do we agree with folk based upon the fact that we consider them to be smarter than we are? Tell your neighbor, I ain't doing that this year. If you really mean, look somebody right now and tell them that ain't happening this year. Whoa, that sounded so good. Shout to somebody and tell them, say, that right there ain't happening this year. Tell your neighbor, I'm going with what God say this year. See, if God say you're going to get your house this year, you're going to get it this year. If God say you're going to get the business this year, you're going to get the business this year. If God say the healing going to manifest this year, it's going to manifest this year. If God say he canceling debt this year, then watch debt get. Don't tell me what no man said. Don't tell me what no lying professor say. Tell your neighbor, tell him, I believe I'm going to be like the ant this year. Tell him I'm going to grab something that's bigger than me and I'm going to pull it in. You know how the ant do. The ant will get a tater chip that's bigger than it and it'll pull it in. I believe I'm going to pull something in this year. Oh, I believe I got a hold to something and I got to just, oh, if you got some room, I dare you to just pull it in. Tell your neighbor, I'm grabbing something this year. Yeah, it's bigger than me. Yeah, it's more powerful than me. But God has got my back and he helping me pull it. Sit down so I can deal with it. Hold on. You remember the man in John 5 at the pool of Bethesda waiting for the troubling of the water. All kind of sick folk lay up on the porch. And an angel would come down at a certain season and trouble the water. And whoever jumped in first got healed. But then all of a sudden, God showed up. The God man showed up. The mind regulator showed up. The lame walker showed up. The deaf ear stopper showed up. The blind eye opener showed up. Sit down. And he walks up to this man that's been there I don't know how long and asks him something crazy. Wow. He said, do you want to be made well? Do you want to get out of this? Have you had enough? But see, the sick man was like a lot of us. His response to Jesus was, when the water is troubled, I have no man to put me in. I'd be healed, Jesus, if a man would have helped me. See, you got to get tired of singing that sad song. Yeah, some folk could have helped us in time past, but guess what? They didn't. It's over. It's said. It's done. Got to go on. It plenty of folk could have helped you and I that didn't want to be bothered. Sit down. But this is what he tells Jesus. Sit down. He said, I have no man to put me in the pool. See, he thought his way out was going to be by a man helping him get in the pool. Oh, God, I'm teaching this thing. But see, Jesus showed up and basically let that man know, you ain't got to get wet. Your healing in front of you. I know you've been looking for man to help you. What am I trying to say? You can miss certain blessings waiting on man to help you. I'm finna talk. I got to talk to my desperate single sisters, to my hungry single sisters, to my I can't do without a man sister. I need a man, pal. I need a man. Any man I do. Black man, white man, skinny man, fat man. I just need a, God know I need a man. You know what God gonna do for faithful single folk this year? He gonna show up and bless them without a spouse. He gonna show up and do Luke 6:38, and you ain't even married.